Hello, everyone. Joseph here, creator and showrunner of Love Undone, and I am back with an episode breakdown. I had so much fun doing scene breakdowns from season 2 and thought it would be great to break down the series finale, especially now that I've had time to process it. So, if you're watching this, thank you for watching, and here we go. Before we actually dig in, I just want to say a massive, massive, massive thank you to our crew. Those are the people you don't see but work incredibly hard to bring this show to life, from pre-production and planning to putting together and collaborating on shot list and framing and lighting and sound. Um, Anything that is crucial to the success of the show. Just really want to give a shout out to our amazing crew for all of your support and your hard work in bringing the show to life. I want to give a massive thank you to the cast for breathing life into these characters for the last 3 seasons, and for your brilliant performances and all of your incredible hard work that went into making the show happen. This show does not exist without you, so thank you. Dustin and Sandra. In this scene, I really wanted to play with distance and silence and awkwardness of not only where these two characters are in their lives, but within their relationship. You know, it's the first moment that we see them since Dustin's big family blowout, but also their own blowout in episode 5. And you could really see the two of them struggling to figure out where to go next to address the elephant in the room. And Sandra's struggling with it a little more than Dustin is, but I really wanted to play up on, again, that silence and that awkwardness of like, what do I say that's not going to be the wrong thing, but also trying to say what I mean. I feel like that's where the two of them really struggled. And I just have to give a shout out to Robert and Capella for a really beautiful performance. It's one of my favorite performances of theirs in an incredible season of performances. But these two have a really good understanding of their characters, which is why they're able to really put an emphasis on the weight of the moment and where these two characters ultimately end up. And there was a second scene after this in this episode where the two of them explicitly spoke about, you know, Josiah very briefly, and explicitly spoke about what the next moment looks like for them. And it got cut for time, but watching it in the editing phase, it's really a case of sometimes what you put on the page is not what's meant to make it to the end, because the way that it ended was so beautiful, and I wanted the audience to feel, are these two going to make it, or are these two not going to make it? And if they don't make it, that's okay, because that could have also been their journey, right? If we've watched where their arc has gone throughout the entire season. And really just talking about growth and what progress looks like for them. They're currently not on the same page, right? And they're currently working on that in very different ways, but how do they continue to work on that to be the people they need to be for each other in the future? Which is why it ended the way it ended before we get to the flash forward.
I should've known better, deja vu. I should've known better that I'd lose. I should've known better. Tell me that this wasn't all for now.
Also, just want to talk about the music. I am very particular about music, and you know, I could have let this moment sit at the end with the two of them, but when I came across this song, just the exclamation point and the way that song elevated this moment was just so beautiful, and why it's one of my favorite scenes to craft as a director. Music is very important to me, so just want to give a shout out to King Sis. Please check out her music and support her on her journey.
Miss you snoring.
This is another powerful and great moment. I just want to note like a fun behind the scenes casting moment. Originally, when we had decided in the writers' room that Lamont would be coming back to visit, you know, our three of our Hill family members, we wanted to bring Lamont back in his current age, right? As, you know, same age as Juanita, But throughout the casting process, we could not find someone to really embody this character of Lamont, to come and shake up this family in such a way that would lead them to, you know, their goals and what they really needed a wake-up call. And so Carl originally auditioned for the role of Josiah, and he was equally as great for that role. But when we were in the casting process, you know, the idea of like, what if we have Carl play, you know, Lamont at the age that he passed? And it was really just one of the best casting choices that we've made, because Carl really stepped in, and I could not have imagined a better person to play the role of Lamont. And specific, you know, to this scene, again, playing with distance, because we want the audience to, you know, feel the weight of this scene, but Lamont's not there, right? He's, you know, he's coming back to really push all of these characters into their destiny that they really deserve. And I feel like Lamont was holding up a mirror for Daniel to really think about the path that he's on. And, you know, a lot of our characters want to be on the paths that they create for themselves, but those may not be the paths that are made for us, and those are not, clearly by what we've seen, are not the paths that a lot of these characters are supposed to be on. And so Lamont really came in, and he got, you know, he really got Jeremiah, Juanita, and Daniel to really think about where they are. But then most importantly too, I think he really showed how fractured the family was after his passing in so many ways, career wise, you know, family dynamic wise, but also relationships, which is really why in this scene we get to the nitty gritty about Daniel's dating history, and how, you know, Daniel has wanted so much for himself in a relationship, but it's always come at like a sacrifice or a compromise to make things work. And with this scene, I really wanted to shed a light on compromise. I think is par for the course in a relationship, but what are the right compromises? What are the right sacrifices we're willing to make? Not necessarily throwing our dreams or our successes or what we want in the trash, but how to make things work as a couple. And I just have to give a shout out to Shaquan. Again, really just elevated this entire season, but I'm so proud of his work in this scene. I'm so proud of Carl's work in this scene. And again, just having a father and son moment that was tender and that was beautiful. And again, at the end, really playing with that distance of he's gone, but I'm a little relieved, and I feel like I know where I'm going now and what the future holds for me, and my space really in the world. So just really proud of that work as well. First of all, can we talk about how much these kids have grown since the start of the show? Not really a goodbye. I guess a goodbye to this chapter, but hello to this new one. And it really felt like the best and right step for Juanita, especially after everything she's been through. You know, being the first Black principal, and all of these issues were sort of dumped in her lap, and the blame was really put on her for a lot of these issues she didn't cause. And I feel like, you know, what is the right step for Juanita? Being at the top, you know, being the superintendent felt like justice for her after everything she's been through. You know, she's been passionate about the kids, and that really has shown throughout her journey. And so I had so much fun working with them on this. Everyone really brought their A game. It's always interesting filming scenes outside. We're so blessed that we were able to film at the school all 3 seasons, but that comes with a lot of unnecessary and fun background noises, whether it's birds or Mack trucks driving down the road. But I'm really proud of how this scene came together, especially Juanita and Gideon's love story. Such a slow but beautiful burn that I'm proud of the writers and how we really tackled their story and getting Juanita the happiness that she deserved in the past. You know, she's entered relationships really unsure of herself because of her past, and really being on guard because she's afraid that her past will make her way into a new relationship. And so her relationship was slow. Getting to I love you was a big deal for Juanita and Gideon. And again, not really wanting it to be a thing of a rushed happy ending, but that felt like the right happy ending for the two of them, getting to that moment. What does the future look for them? What does their happiness look like? How do they continue to grow in this moment now that Juanita's fully stepping into this role? And so I'm really happy in that moment, actually, in the editing process, placing that music, and really seeing that scene come together. I am just very proud of what we were able to accomplish.
Thank you so much for letting me document your love story.
We appreciate you. When Benjamin called us with the idea, we thought it was the perfect way to capture our journey.
Uh, Lori and Rashad, they just bring me so much joy. I have to say, I've had so much fun collaborating with the writers on their journey. This very unconventional relationship has been so much fun to work on. And I remember specifically in the room when we were crafting this moment, we had at one point we were going to do this. Well, it's alluded to in the scene, but we were actually going to shoot like a docu series that Benjamin had come up with and pitched, and Sashmir would be in the field interviewing all of these Boston couples, and Lori and Rashad were one of them. I think it was called Lover's Lane, but ultimately we pick up with the two of them after that montage has been shot and really just checking in on the two of them in their love story. And the way that I wanted to shoot this scene and the inspiration behind it, there was a docu-series called Black Love on OWN. And I really wanted to model the framing of this scene after that docu-series. And so really proud of how it turned out. Like, you feel like you're a part of it, and that's how I wanted the audience to feel like they were a part of this love story, because I feel like a lot of our audience has been very invested on where these two characters will go. And I'm just so proud of where we ended with them. There's a lot that happened, I will say, that we had for the two of them, right? And the journey that they've been on. Of Lori's had this massive loss, but Rashad was there for her. And she didn't know if he would be, right? But he really stepped up in a way that these two, their ending felt natural. Like, these two are in love with each other. These two have gotten to this point with a lot of baggage that didn't really, at one point could have held them back more, but like really, I would say pushed them together. And it's funny because in the room at one point, I felt like everyone, when we were planning endings, everyone was getting engaged, and it was like, which ones feel the most natural? Because we all had characters that we loved and fought for, and Lori and Rashad's journey felt the most natural to reach this point, and I'm just so proud of their performances. It's just the happiness, the emotional connection, again, the journey they've been on. Just really proud of, I love as a huge romance fan. Romance, if you pay attention to how this show is crafted, romance is the essence and just the groundwork for this show. And so, yeah, I love love, and I love the way love looks on Lori and Rashad. This montage, it really gets me teary every time I watch it. And originally, when we were planning and writing, and ultimately when I wrote this montage into this series finale, it originally was supposed to pick up 5 years after where we ended with the engagement with Lori and Rashad. And I literally changed the title card 2 days before the finale came out to years later, because I really wanted you, the audience, to really figure out, not necessarily figure out when these moments happen, but that space and time has happened throughout these moments, starting with Dustin and Sandra, who end up, being okay, and again, getting in positions that really feel right, with Dustin becoming principal and Sandra sort of not stepping away from teaching, but sort of still being around children and their growth and their success in a different capacity. Fun fact, Camden was originally supposed to be a baby girl. Shout out to Hanae for the name Camden Love Jones. Love that name. But when we were casting, we were trying to focus on a lot of our recurring and bigger roles for the season. And ultimately, I tapped my cousin Amari to play the role of Camden, which switched it to a baby boy. It might be one of the reasons why the title card changed from 5 years to years later, just because it wasn't convincing to see him as a 5-year-old. But again, just proud of this beautiful moment between this family, seeing them as a unit and being able to see Camden. And then we have this beautiful moment between Daniel and Elijah in their engagement. And I just really want to say it was my proudest moment to be able to pour 10 years of creation and collaboration with Shaquan into this moment. You know, originally there were more cast members in this scene, but due to scheduling, we couldn't have everyone in this scene. And I'm just thinking about even having 2 more people in this scene would have been more stressful. But just the way this scene came together, being able to have members from Unconditional Love come back and join this moment, having Nico back, having that moment between Mia and Tori was really special. And originally we were supposed to have little LJ in this scene. If you've watched the show since the very first episode of Unconditional Love, the first thing that Daniel and Benjamin talk about outside of that first scene before the sort of introduction to them, Daniel mentions that he wants kids. And there were a lot of Easter eggs from the very beginning of this series that I wanted to throw in there, of Daniel's getting everything he deserves in the moment that he deserves them. Yes, he could have had it at the end of Unconditional Love. Yes, he could have had it early in his journey, but it wasn't the right time for him. And so being able to see and witness this moment between these 2 characters who, again, I will admit, as the creator of this show, there were moments where I'm like, oh, are Elijah and Daniel the right pairing? Did we make the right decision? But I think because we shoot things out of order, and because not necessarily everything comes together at one time, I wasn't sure then. I knew I was sure of it on the paper, but I wasn't sure of it when we got to the end of it. And it wasn't until late into the editing phase that, again, as I'm bawling my eyes out watching this moment between these 2 characters who I've grown to love and really appreciate, did I say, wow, this is beyond anything I could have ever imagined. And I just think about the Joseph in high school and what this moment would have meant to him. I had, I'm running on a tangent, but it's really important just to talk about creating what you want to see and what you don't always get to see, and what would have been important to you. And I really I guess the ultimate thing I want to say is, I hope that this moment in these characters, in these endings, in this evolution really inspires the next person who's not so sure about their journey. Again, such a beautiful location, which I will say was really stressful to get, and almost did not have that cafe. We originally were going to shoot at another cafe owned by the same owner, but that cafe had the owner had decided that she was going to sell that location. I want to say we were already in production. I want to say it was like a few weeks before we were scheduled to shoot. And I started to panic because without this specific location, a lot of these moments would not have happened it the way that they truly deserve to. And she had said, we're closing this location, but we have this new location that we had just opened. And you're welcome to shoot in that one, but the hours were drastically different. And so we had this space for 8 hours, and if you can imagine trying to shoot a scene with all of these people and a crew in such a short amount of time was very stressful. But I'm so proud of the professionalism of everybody involved in the scene that really made it come together. Also, just want to note that we had a nor'easter that day. pile that on top of everything that was going on, and just having to worry about this extreme rain, which ended up being very beautiful for a lot of the scenes in the series, but was a nightmare logistically. It was a nightmare production wise. So just wanted to add that fun tidbit in there. Tori and her ending of choosing happiness and how it looks for her. Tori's journey has been the most like textbook following of, my family wants my life to be this way. I've followed it this way. I got married. I started a family or attempted to start a family, depending on if you're looking at it through an unconditional love or love undone lens. And I really wanted her version of happiness to be taking things slow and choosing herself, which is why she made that note of marriage isn't for me, right? I've been married. I've done that. I've met this guy who really matches me equally, who really pushes me, who really motivates me, and is there for me. And it's happened in such the most organic and natural way that ending was really important for me to put a note on that for Tori, and that this is how happiness looks for her. And it's not the happiness that she thought it was. It's not the happiness that maybe the audience didn't think it was, but it's the happiness that she deserves. And again, really, really just taking things, slow for her. Thank you so much for watching this scene breakdown. I hope you enjoyed all of my ramblings. And again, just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who has watched and supported and left a comment on this show. If you have not watched yet and are watching this, please take the journey with these characters and let us know what you think about our show. Again, just a heart filled with gratitude for your support of these characters in our journey. I also want to give a massive shout out to our writers, Shaquan, Ron, Hane, Jaretta. I could not have done this series without all of you and your brilliance and your expertise and your ideas. You all know how much you mean to me and how much this process could not have worked without your collaboration and all of our edits. I'm so proud of all of you, and am just looking forward to what you all do next. So thank you to all of you for making this possible. And